At 11 a.m. on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 and 94.5. Then on Sunday, pregame coverage begins at 10 a.m. with second-round action all day and all night long right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
30% more meat. Good Sense, your favorite KC sub shop, is now serving 30% more meat on all their freshly sliced cold subs. Good Sense has always been the place to go for soft bread baked fresh twice each day, meat sliced to order, and their enormous 16-inch subs, so they were already good. Now with 30% more meat, they just got gooder. Stop by your locally owned Good Sense today to try the 30% meatier experience. Good Sense.
Here are KU coach Bill Self and Dan Chandler of the Salty Iguana Mexican Restaurant.
Coach, I know you love the family fun and great values at the Salty Iguana. What about the food?
Spank, you know we can both put down some iguana dip. I like the Prairie Village burrito, and as many as I bought from you, it ought to be called the Bill Self burrito.
Yeah, I'm sure you want to walk around the Big 12 being called Burrito Bill.
No worse than being called Spank. Spank.
Enjoy the best happy hour in town from 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays at the Salty Iguana. And check out the Salty Iguana website, saltyiguana.com.
Hi, this is Toby Tobin along with Jason Goodenkoff from Lewisburg Ford in Lewisburg, Kansas. Hi, Jason.
Hello, Toby.
Jason, you have done it again.
Happy New Year to you. We did do it. It was a really strange year, but we had some things we tried to accomplish, and we succeeded. We are the #1 Ford F-150 dealer in the Kansas City area for the 5th year in a row, Toby. Very proud of that accomplishment.
That is absolutely amazing. Down in Lewisburg, Kansas, you have sold more F-150 pickups than anybody in the greater Kansas City area.
That's right, Toby, and that's because of our $50 over invoice pricing. We save people a ton of money, Toby.
And even more now.
Right now, it's really weird, and inventories are thin, and dealers are charging a ton. But we are still selling brand new F-150s and everything else at $50 over factory invoice. Nobody else will do that, Toby.
And passing all rebates along everything.
All the rebates to the customer, as always.
Okay, no games, no gimmicks. I guarantee you this is the best place to buy a Ford product. Lewisburg Ford, Lewisburg, Kansas. What's your toll-free number?
816-444-2300.
Or LewisburgFord.com.
Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott Traylor. My partner across from me, he's Kirk Elliott. We're the Racing Boys. We want to welcome you to Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. I want to thank Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB for helping us on the show this morning, as well as our in-studio producer extraordinaire, Austin O'Neill, who has been helping us now for a few months over here on The Daily Show. Mostly motorsports, been doing a fine job. We've got a lot of sound that we're going to run for you today. We're going to be talking to Gio Scelzi, Ty Dillon, and I don't know if you've heard of Joe Costello, but Joe Costello is one of the brightest minds in NHRA. If you're a big drag racing fan, Joe Costello is going to be one of the sound bites that you want to listen to. It's about 5 minutes long. And we're also going to talk to Kerry Davis about his induction into the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame. And then finally, we'll wrap it all up with the voice of the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour, Brian Hobart. How you doing, Kirk Elliott? You doing all right?
I'm doing good. We had some good racing last night, didn't we?
It was pretty good. What was your favorite race last night? Of all the races, did you enjoy? You didn't watch Justin Peck win at Williams Grove, did you?
I didn't. I just saw the highlights of that. It looked like he ran away with that opening night race out at Williams Grove.
Once he got into the lead, he did. He was able to work the traffic a little bit better than everybody else and pull away and win by a pretty good margin out at Williams Grove. So that was some pretty good stuff. You can watch Williams Grove weekly on Dirt Vision if you folks would like to watch that. But last night, I don't know, which one did you enjoy, the ASCS National Tour race, or did you enjoy the World of Outlaw race better?
I think at the end, I enjoyed the ASCS race last night. I don't know, there was something that was very intriguing and interesting the way that thing ended up.
Yeah.
Looked like early on, looked like Sam Hafertepe was just going to walk away and run away and hide.
Yeah.
That didn't happen last night. Here comes Wayne Johnson. But he had to hold off a hard-charging Blake Hahn to win that race.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the way it ended up was probably the better of the two races in my mind last night.
Austin, last night, when you saw the 15H of Sam Hafertepe and the 47X of Dylan Westbrook starting on the front row, it was pretty easy to pick one of those two guys to win, wasn't it? I mean, for me it was. When I looked at that front row, I went, oh, one of those guys got to win.
Oh, you're exactly right. And with Devil's Bowl it had a wind advisory, so it was super dry.
Yeah.
And it was kind of locked down around the bottom, and, you didn't see a whole lot of passing in the heat races. So, I mean, if you're starting on the front row and your name's Sam Hafertepe or Dylan Westbrook, you're going to be hard to bet against. And, during Mostly Motorsports on Friday, I picked Sam to win, and, for the first, 20 laps, I thought he was going to pull it off.
What happened to Sam?
I think me and you both picked Sam, didn't we?
I think we did.
Yeah.
What happened to Sam?
Lap traffic.
Well, he just wasn't able to work the lap traffic. You know what was really more impressive than anything for me last night was watching Blake Hahn work the bottom. My goodness, can he get that left front tire any closer to that wall coming up off of the corner?
Or any of the tractor tires. God, Blake, you're scaring me.
I mean,
I hit one. They're not fun to hit.
I know it, but I mean, does he roll the bottom as good as anybody in the national tour?
He does. He really.
Yeah.
I mean, he just shows his patience and all this experience he's had on the tour. He's been out there almost 8-9 years now.
Right.
And it pays off. And Devil's Bowl, we saw it. Dominate or early in the feature, and even in the heat races. If you could roll the bottom off of two, you had 3 to 4 car lengths. On the guy you're racing with. So
right.
Yeah, it just showed that he could do it when it was time to. When the time was there to do it.
Berkman was pretty good at ripping the top there for a little bit, too.
Yeah, Seth's just a gasser pretty much. And
yeah.
He tried to make it work, and it worked for a little bit. He could make it work on the restarts, but, once we got, up to pace, it just too far around, and there was nothing to lean on. If he had something to lean on, he could have done something.
Yeah, and Jason Martinkirk last night, we had him on the show here recently. A nice run by him. He ended up running 6th last night. It's not really the finish that he was looking for, but still a nice run by a guy that's going to be running for Rookie of the Year this year with the National Tour.
Yeah, he had a good solid run last night for his first going full time.
Well, look at the people.
Tour.
Just look at the people he outran.
Yeah,
he outran Scott Boguski, Matt Jewell, John Carney, Justin Zimmerman, Roger Crockett. Those are some pretty good names that he.
Bad night for Matt Covington.
Yeah,
he'd like to forget about last night, just start over again today. Not a good start for him,
and not a good night for our friend Zach Chappell either. No, he ended up running 23rd. So
now the Outlaws race out.
Hold on a second, Kurt.
Okay.
Before we go into the Outlaws, let's talk about the winner last night. Wayne Johnson picks up the win. His first win in 2 years.
Because he'd been out running Outlaws all the time.
Well,
the last couple of
listen,
years.
I love Wayne, right? He's a friend of mine. But the fact is, he's had to come out of a lot of B's to get into a lot of the A mains with the World of Outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
And he's qualified for some races. He's done well sometimes, but Wayne is used to winning, and we had him on the show. And remember, he said that Slippy quit working for him because he wasn't winning races anymore. And Slippy was so used to winning a lot of races at the time that he got out of there. Yeah.
It's hard to do that racing with the World of Outlaws for 2 full years.
But he did. Wayne's been racing for a long time, so he has plenty of experience. But, going out and racing with the Outlaws just made him even better.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, you could bring all that back down, and maybe he could have ran top 5 last night if he was, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When you look at it, he's ran with the Outlaws. Now that boosted him up to now he's, competing for a win every night.
Right.
He's got no set schedule. They're just going to decide to run.
It's just going to run an
ahead
Outlaw
of the weekend.
schedule.
Yeah, hey, let's go here this weekend.
Yeah.
Make decisions on the fly. Isn't that more fun racing that way?
Well,
if you don't have any commitments to sponsors and so forth, I know he's got a few sponsors, but just setting your schedule as you go, that's fun.
As Austin knows, and I know that I raced for points for about 10 or 12 years. Running for points takes the fun out of racing. doesn't it, Austin?
It does. It's awful.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, you get down to the end of the year, you start thinking, all right, I got to make sure I don't make a bad move or tear up my car or make sure I finish this race. Then you start not driving the same as you normally do, and then it gets in your head. Next thing you know, you're not doing what you're supposed to do behind the wheel
once
of a
you
car.
let anything get in your head, you're done.
Right.
It's just you've let something beat you, and you'll never beat it.
Right.
Hey, I want to ask you about the qualifying that they changed to this year for the Lucas Oil ASCS series. What are your thoughts after the first night, the way they did this?
I don't like it.
And what would you change?
What I don't like is, listen, I spent 13 years on the national tour with passing points, and that's what I like. You know, as a driver, I excelled at qualifying, and I really enjoyed it as a driver. But as a fan, I'm just not the biggest fan of qualifying.
Isn't that why they went to this format? Because they were getting a lot of pressure from the drivers?
Well,
they didn't really
were.
ask the fans about it.
Go ahead, Austin.
They were, but you also look at it, too. You know, Wayne kind of said it in his interview. You take out the draw determining your hold night.
Right.
Because I went to Lucas for 3 straight years and drew the highest pill every night and started last in the first heat race, and nobody passed.
And you couldn't pass anybody.
You know, so now it takes that out. So now you draw for your heat race, and then you just invert your heat race, and you're still getting passing points. So, yeah, the qualifying sucks because it adds that little bit of extra time, but it also makes, you know, my life.
Are you looking forward to qualifying?
I am. I was always good at it.
Yeah.
But it just makes, you know, the team and the driver have a little bit more of a factor in determining your fate for the night.
And you know why they went to this is because they wanted more drivers to follow the series. They felt that this would attract more guys to follow the series if they used to qualify.
That has nothing to do with it. It has zero to do with it. The real reason people wanted it is exactly what Austin just said. When they have a real heavy track and you have a bad pill draw and you have to start at the back of a heat race number 1 and the track is locked down and you don't have any opportunity to pass any cars in front of you because the track is just so narrow, so fast that you don't have a reason to pass or a way to pass, that's what people were upset about. Don't you think, Austin, more than
You're
anything?
exactly right.
Yeah, isn't that right?
That's it.
But you kind of make my point. The drivers didn't like it because they didn't think it was a fair fight. So in order to attract more drivers to follow the series and feel like they've got a fair chance at it,
let's be fair.
They moved to this qualifying format to attract more competitors.
Let's be fair. They've never had a problem getting cars.
No.
Well,
you're getting more cars because of the schedule and the money.
The schedule is the biggest thing for the Lucas Oil ASCS
it's
National
schedule,
Tour.
money,
not going to the
and
Pacific Northwest,
Yep.
not going to Pennsylvania. That's what made people more interested. Staying more centrally located in the United States, I think, was the biggest thing.
Fair enough. That's the big reason why you're going to get more guys follow the series. But
for sure.
That we'll see. I think Wayne Johnson said himself a few more little tweaks about it, but he kind of liked it. But that's coming
I
from
hope
a guy,
they don't tweak on it anymore.
That's coming from a guy that's not going to follow the whole series. So we'll get some opinions from some of the other drivers, see what they think. But I think it's I think most of the competitors like what the direction they're going with in this qualifying.
Carson Macedo beat Brad Sweet and Giovanni Scelzi last night at Merced. What did you guys think of that race?
Brad Sweet made a huge mistake by choosing the inside on that late restart.
Right.
When he saw
he admitted it too.
Right, and when he should have known better because when Gio Scelzi shot around him to the lead, only to see a yellow flag come out, and Gio wasn't able to hang on to the lead. Sweet should have known right then that the outside was the way to go, and Carson Macedo took full advantage of that last night.
The biggest problem I saw last night in that race, they were dragging the left rears and laying rubber down at the top. Didn't you see that, Austin?
This is the first time watching the highlights, but yeah, you can start seeing a dark line up there. And that's,
right.
Anytime that happens, But I just saw Donnie Schatz got crashed on the first lap. You don't see Donnie crash 2 weeks in a row.
No,
and it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. He got caught up. They brought his car in, replaced both the front and the main
Top
wing. He got head start at the back. I think he only ended up 22nd last night. So not a good couple of nights for Donnie Schatz.
Started 16th, run 22nd.
That's 2 nights in a row. He flipped his car the final night out at Tulare.
He didn't get upside down last night.
No, but I
he
mean,
just got involved.
he just got drug into somebody
he got
else's
drugged
wreck.
into somebody else's wreck. That's
Yeah,
correct. But
yeah.
the week before down at Tulare, he took a bad hit, crash upside down.
Yeah.
So that 2 races in a row for shots. So
Giovanni is doing a hell of a job, isn't he, man, right now? I mean, he is really up on the wheel. He's got that thing rolling right now. He's getting these podium finishes. But it was Tyler Courtney right there on the outside looking in from the podium. Your thoughts about that race last night, Austin? You didn't get a chance to watch much of it, did you?
I'll let Kirk answer that real quick as I watch the highlights. But you have almost 2 teammate cars, and Kevin Kowalski's cars of Kyle Larson and
Right.
Tyler Courtney, and Larson's kind of running in the back half of the top 5, top 10, and have Courtney running at the 4th, which you kind of don't see that very often.
Right.
Not that Courtney's a bad driver; he's very good, but you always see Kyle Larson, running towards the front.
You know who I was impressed with last night? It come out of the B main. Sheldon say it for me, Kurt.
Sheldon Hodenshield.
Sheldon Hodenshield. He come out of the B main. He won that B. He started 21st, and he worked his way all the way up to 10th. He was ripping the lip in that B main, man.
Well, Sheldon shines on quarter miles. Go look at Peevely 2 years ago. We got ads here. Where you lapped the field almost up to 5th. Dude's an animal. When you get on the bull rings,
he owns that racetrack.
He does.
He can rip the top, man, as good as anybody.
Yeah, coming from 21st to 10th, that was pretty exciting to see Hodenshield make that run up through the field like that.
Yeah.
Got a good solid finish.
Yeah, it was good for Carson Macedo. Man, we've had a slew of winners on our show, haven't we?
Yeah, we're doing a good job picking the good guests.
We've had Giovanni Scelzi on. We've had Carson Macedo on. Who else did we have? Wayne Johnson on.
Chase Briscoe last week was
Chase
a cup
Briscoe.
winner.
He won.
That was another kind of a hometown.
We might be good luck for those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
That was kind of another hometown victory for Carson Macedo last night. He grew up only an hour away from that racetrack, so he had a lot of his family and friends at that track last night, so that was a pretty special win for Carson last night.
You look at it, this is race number 3 on the West Coast, and they all have been won by guys who grew up in California.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Elk Grove for Kyle Larson, Fresno for Gio, and then
now
more.
Carson Macedo. Yep.
And it was 2 years ago, you were at that racetrack for the Lucas Oil ASCS.
Yeah.
And who won on that night? Brad Sweet.
Oh, that's
Remember
right.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, he came and ran with us that night. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Kirk, yesterday, Atlanta Motor Speedway was rained out.
Wow. They wanted to get some practice time because this is a newly paved, newly configured racetrack. All 3 of these series in NASCAR, they wanted to get these cars and trucks out on the track to kind of test things out. They still haven't been able to do that. Now they got 2 races scheduled today, the trucks and the Xfinity Series today, and still no one knows what lies ahead for the way this racetrack is going to play out. We'll find out today.
Yeah.
There's going to be no qualifying. I think what they're going to do, practice instead. Just get these cars out on the track and shake them down.
I don't know the schedule. It looks like today at 3 o'clock. Oh no, that's tomorrow. Practice today, right? Do you have any times?
They're supposed to get on the track somewhere about noon time today. So the adjusted schedule I haven't seen yet. But we'll have Lee Spencer on the top of the second hour to give us an update about that. But they had to totally wipe out what they had scheduled for Friday. And, it just tightens everything up even more because they got all 3 series they got to run here this weekend.
Was that all 3 series, Kurt?
Yeah.
Was that what you said? All 3 series?
I would hate to be the guys in the truck in Xfinity Series today, going out there with no practice.
Do you ever notice how much Kirk talks with his hands?
I do the same thing, Kirk.
Do you?
Yeah, you don't see it, though.
Because you're behind all that gear back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, you got to make gestures with your hands?
I guess.
If you hadn't brought it up, our listeners on Sports Radio 810 would have never known.
But the people watching might have. I don't know.
They can see it.
They can
you
see
don't
it.
have to describe it.
I'll zoom in next time, Kurt.
No, don't do that. He doesn't want that to happen. Man, Kirk, I guess they're supposed to start racing up at I-35 Speedway today, right?
That race is still on for tonight. Its temperature is supposed to be in the mid-50s today, 58, 9 degrees, lows in the 40s tonight.
It's going to be cold
a
up
little
there.
chilly, but no chance of rain.
Yeah.
USRA Modifieds, B-Mods, stock cars in action. Hot lap 6:30, first race 7 o'clock tonight at I-35 Speedway. It's called the Ice Buster. I guess that's a pretty good name for it after the cold weather we had yesterday.
Yeah.
But it was nice earlier in the week. If they could have ran on Tuesday or Wednesday or, those days when it was really nice out here, it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But, it's March. Anything can happen.
Yeah. We want to thank everybody that's tuned into the show. We've got Marie. We can always count on Marie, can't we?
Yes, we can.
Every day.
Grinds it out with
I
us.
mean, she's special. She's one of our favorites of all the people that watch this show. Daily, every day, Monday through Friday, we do mostly motorsports. It starts at 12 noon Central Time, and Marie is there every day. Larry Walters is hanging out with us today. Ernie, he's hanging out. Frog Hall's hanging out with us as well. Paul, we want to thank him. He's one of our regular guys that hangs out with us. Ken, just everybody that's chiming in on the show right now on Facebook. Got a lot of people over there watching.
I do have the updated schedule from Atlanta right now for
you do?
today.
All right.
Practice for the Truck Series at 9:40 our time, Central Time. You can
Is
watch
that
the
on
start
Fox
of that
Sports?
on FS2, and then it'll switch over to FS1. Everything else on FS1
At
the rest
9
of the
o'clock?
day At 9:40.
Remind me
this
to
morning.
put that on at 9 o'clock. We'll put the truck race on.
Xfinity practice at 10:40. Cup Series practice at 11:40.
Yep.
And then they'll have the Truck Series race at 1:30 this afternoon. Xfinity Series race at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
What's the weather down there today, Kirk? Do you know?
Supposed to be better than it was yesterday. Supposed to, no rain in the forecast. A little bit cooler.
Weather
Tomorrow
for Atlanta.
is even better still for Sunday's Cup Series race. So I think they'll get it all in.
Forecast for Atlanta. We'll just find out right here real quick, Kirk. The old handy telephone. Today in Atlanta, it's supposed to be 63 degrees, a low of 40. And tomorrow, a high of 67 with a low of 40.
Yeah. A little bit cool, but I think the rain's all out of the area now.
It's not as bad as when they left Daytona and would go straight to Atlanta.
Yeah, one year it snowed. Remember that weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. You never know in the month of March what's going to be anywhere.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to start pounding out some sound for you. We've got plenty of it. We've got Gio Scelzi, Ty Dillon, Joe Costello, Kerry Davis, Brian Hobart. All of that and more when we come back here on Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works, and it's all right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk. As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Unlimited RV is the highest rated RV dealer in the Midwest. We're also the home of the lifetime warranty and where you'll always buy at the lowest prices. Unlimited RV sits on over 10 acres with over 300 campers from over 30 brands. No wonder Unlimited RV is Kansas City's 5-star rated RV dealer.
Stacy Clark here, owner and general manager of Unlimited RV. Come by and check out our family business, proudly serving Kansas City RV owners for nearly a decade.
Unlimited RV, home of the lifetime warranty. Go to unlimitedrv.com.
Hey, it's former Jayhawk Greg Gurley. Kansas fans and alumni are in every city and state we play. If your favorite Jayhawk fans are missing home, send them some Joe's KC Barbecue. Nothing beats home court and championship barbecue on game day. Joe's will ship anywhere in the U.S. It's easy to reheat, and it tastes just as good at home as it does at Joe's. You can ship all of Joe's favorites, like ribs, brisket, burn ends, and even the famous Z-Man. Ordering is easy, and it's just a few clicks away at joeskc.com.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. We want to wish everyone a wonderful 2022. New inventory has just arrived for the new year, and we are excited for what we have to offer you. Trucks, cars, and SUVs, we have it all. The entire team at Victory Ford is dedicated to one thing, serving you with respect. We take great pride in providing exceptional customer service that keeps the golden rule at the forefront of everything we do. Come see us today at the Legends in KCK or online at victoryfordkc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
Icon is seeking healthy non-smoking men and women ages 18 to 55 to participate in a clinical research study at our facility in Lenexa, Kansas. Volunteers must be available for one stay of 3 nights and one follow-up visit. Qualified participants may receive compensation up to $3,000 for time and travel. Call Icon today at 913-210-5900. That's 913-210-5900.
Hey folks, Jerry now at Continental Siding.
Jerry, how are we getting siding materials when some companies can't?
We don't buy our materials from overseas. We make it ourselves right here in Missouri. In fact, we bought so much raw material last year, we're getting rebates this year.
To thank you for supporting local manufacturing, we're passing our rebates to you. There's big discounts now, but they won't last long. Click
or call now.
Go to continentalsiding.com.
If you're in the market to market your business,
30 seconds.
Let us make it easy on you. Digital Lagoon provides all your marketing needs. Digital Lagoon has been helping companies create and market their brand for over 25 years, and we can help you stand out. From impressive state-of-the-art websites to visually impactful internal and external signage to large format displays, even business cards, Digital Lagoon is your complete marketing partner. I'm Jordan, and I'm proud to be president of Digital Lagoon. Contact me at digitallagoon.com.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. And again, if you haven't heard, we do a daily show. Austin and myself do a daily show. It's called Mostly Motorsports. It airs Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. And we have a ton of great guests on there. And one of our great guests this week, Kirk, was Giovanni Scelzi.
Yeah, boy, coming off that big win a week ago Friday night out at Thunderbolt Raceway, and he's doing very well in his home state out in California.
Yep.
World of Outlaws out there, and here's the portion of that conversation on Mostly Motorsports from earlier this week with Giovanni Scelzi.
I've never won a race on a national level in California with that much home support. So it was cool to be able to hear the crowd and have them cheer for me, specifically because I'm a Californian. So
yeah.
And to beat those guys too is always special. Anytime you can win an outlaw race, no matter where it is, it's special.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Talk about that venue. You've got so many laps around it. Do you feel like you have an advantage over maybe some of the other guys that are running with the World of Outlaws? I know they all go there. They've all been there. They've all raced there. But because of the amount of laps that you've had there, do you feel like you have a little bit of an advantage to those guys?
Yes and no. I mean, any small advantage like that is helpful because obviously the Outlaws, they don't really care where they are or what part of the country they're in. They're fast every single night because they have to adapt so quick. But yeah, that's obviously a home racetrack for me and a place I've raced a lot in my career. So I think it does, just the home atmosphere and anytime you can. Something as small as sleeping in your own bed every night after a race definitely helps, not being in a hotel room. So, yeah, there is definitely an advantage. And like I said, with the home crowd, and it just makes you want it that much more.
Yeah. I hate to bring up the bad news, but the run that you had on Saturday night, not near as good. You ended up starting 4th. You ended up running 9th. Tell us what happened on Saturday night.
Yeah, just, we were really good early in the night. And that place gets really, really technical and kind of rough and slick and makes for exciting racing. And, I think that shows right now how difficult the competition is, because nobody has really broken away in the points right now with the Outlaws. Brad hasn't won a race yet, and I think Sheldon's the only repeat winner. So I think that shows how difficult it is night to night. If you're off a little bit, whether it's driver or car, whatever it is, that goes from winning the race to running almost outside the top 10. So, it's hard to hang your head on 9th. When you start up front, obviously you want to stay there. So I think we've had 5 top 10s in a row with the Outlaws the last 5 races. So, like I said, it's hard to hang your head, but after a win, it's kind of a tough one to swallow.
Are you going to run an Outlaws schedule this year, or are you going to run with the Outlaws this year?
No, we're going to run whatever we want. It just for our situation right now with Dylan still being a new crew chief with us, I think it's only 10 or 12 races I've raced with him. It just until we get our motor program really figured out and kind of get our communication figured out, I don't really see a reason to go run the Outlaws if we're going to run 8th or 9th in points. I want to go do the Outlaw thing when I feel comfortable to have a shot to win the points.
Yeah. Man, it seems like to me, Gio, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I traveled all those years, 13 years with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour, doing their broadcast on Racing Boys. But it seems like to me that right now, 410 racing is trending up a little bit more than maybe 360 racing was at one point. The 360 racing was pretty popular at one point. But it seems to me that, you see guys like Chris Windham, you just see a lot of guys, Sunshine going over there running 410s with the wing cars, with the All-Stars. It seems like 410 racing is trending up a little bit right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing is just how well the purse pays. Obviously, with their nightly purse being $10,000 to win and $1,000 to start with a slew of races that pay more than that. Obviously the competition is significantly more, but it's just you hate to look at it that way. But when you're racing for a living, if you figure if I make this show, it pays $1,000, and if I run 5th at this show, it pays $1,000. So, if you get inside the top 10 with the Outlaws, it's $2,000, and that's a whole lot of money. When you obviously have to race way harder and better equipment, better drivers, that kind of thing. But if you can race at that level, you're going to make way more money.
I know last year you guys were doing a little bit of the TRD thing. Is that even in the plans this year? Are you guys using any of their equipment? Or are you just going Chevrolet right now?
No, so last year, actually right before Lakeside when we won the Outlaw Show, we parted ways with Toyota. I think both of our organizations seem to be looking in different directions, and it's just as simple as that. They wanted something different that we essentially could not offer them. So, I wish them the best. They've supported me for quite a few years in my career and given me opportunities that not a lot of kids get. So, obviously I'm still friends with a lot of guys there. And, like I said, just something as simple as we couldn't offer them what they wanted.
Yeah. Do you still look down the road and hopefully you can get into some heavy car stuff? Or are you past that now and you just want to be a sprint car driver?
I think if a truck opportunity presented itself or something in that form did, and I think you'd kind of be stupid to not at least consider it.
Right.
But man, I'm having so much fun racing for KCP right now, and it's just hard to justify when you're at the highest level or have the highest level team in sprint car racing that you're already organized with, or involved with, and essentially go take a step down to maybe a mid-pack truck team. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think once the Toyota thing kind of ended, that was about the final stake in the coffin for me, because no other opportunities present themselves. And obviously I get to race for a living now, and I'm hired to race. So I think that's any kid's goal, whether it's trucks or NASCAR or sprint cars, whatever it is to race for a living, and that's what I get to do. So I'm just happy with what I have right now.
That is Gio Scelzi, who finished third last night at Merced Speedway. Both Scelzi brothers had top 10 finishes last night. Dominic finished 8th. So
good
pretty
stuff.
good run for both those guys. We'll see how they do out at Ocean Speedway out in Watsonville, California, is where they're going to be tonight. Earlier this week, Ty Dillon was a guest on Mostly Motorsports. He's back in the Cup Series full-time this year, brother of Austin Dillon. Ty Dillon, who I remember he won a big race in the ARCA Series at Kansas Speedway back in 2010 when you had a conversation with Richard Childress.
That was the day we had that conversation with him.
So that's
what did he say that day, Kurt?
He said Clint owes you a lot. Clint Boyer.
He says he owes. He told me, he goes, Clint Boyer owes you everything.
After he found out that was your car,
he thought he was driving Bobby Gerhardt's car. Remember that?
That's right.
And I told him, I said, no, that was my car. And he goes, well, if that was your car, he owes you everything because that's the reason I hired him.
That's why that's...
you heard him say it, too, didn't you?
I said it. I watched that, yeah. And that's why that's the most memorable win by Ty Dillon for me and you, anyway.
For me.
But Ty Dillon was a guest earlier this week, and here is a portion of that conversation from Mostly Motorsports.
See, anytime you come out of a race weekend with a top 15, there's nothing really to be too upset about. With our brand new team, we're still learning. We've only been in business for about 9 weeks as a whole organization, so we have a lot to learn on top of a brand new car and me being back in the series. So we've been very satisfied with the start to a year. Obviously, we have a lot of things we'd like to do better going forward. I think for us, the process week in and week out is getting better, and we've done a great job of putting ourselves in position at the end of the races to improve upon where we're running at. I think every race we've finished better than we started, which is always a great thing. Right. We just got to get a little bit more speed in our cars than the rest of the season, and we're working very hard at Petty GMS to do so. And our teammate Eric Jones had great speed, and hopefully we can match some of that. So it's never anything to be upset about having 2 top 15 finishes and all finishes in the top 20 to start a year, and we're one of 3 teams that have finished every single lap this year. So with everything we're up against as race teams, with a shortage in parts and cars and everything being so new, we put ourselves in a great position to be able to develop this car more than just have to try to focus on building another one. So we're happy with where we're at, and now it's just about finding and grinding out some speed.
When you first decided you were going to go to Petty GMS, was there a little bit of concern about the newness of the team and everything that goes with that? I mean, take us through your thought process when you decided to go over there.
I was looking for an opportunity. There were a couple opportunities out there, but I wanted an organization that believed in me and had similar values and beliefs in the sport and approach to just handling things. And Petty GMS kind of, they were the standard of people and communication, the way to work, and started with Maury Gallagher and Mike Beam, the two heads of our table, pretty much, of how things go at Petty GMS. They're just outstanding human beings to begin with, who are passionate about our sport and want to do whatever it takes to win races, and that's all you can ask for. And as long as your leadership is pushing in that direction every single day and wanting the most for our team and everybody involved, we're going to be successful. So it was a no doubt option and choice for me to join them, and especially with the new car coming in and seeing the success that Petty and GMS had in the GMS in the truck series, there's a winning culture there. So it's just a matter of graduating that up to the Cup series and throwing some of my experience in there with it, so to hopefully make everything better.
Tell me the one thing that's maybe the most difficult about driving the new car compared to last year's car.
I think with the old car, I have had even Xfinity experience thrown in there. I had 7 or 8 years of experience of driving that style of race car. Mm-hmm. So little ins and outs and feels and different things that this is a problem that is the way that we built the car problem, or it's a mechanical issue, or this is just something we need to change. With this car, you have so many new components, it's hard to tell what's right and wrong right away. Sometimes you get in the middle of a race and you realize, oh man, this is wrong. This is something that we should probably never do again. But we did it on the basis of, what is supposed to happen. So as you're learning parts and pieces of a brand new car, you're going to have, minor mistakes that you learn, and you just have to have those learning moments and make it through those days and capitalize a lot on that. So as we build a notebook on this car, I'm building a notebook as a driver is, what feels right? What's the feel that I'm looking for in the fast car compared to what I have right now? So, that's our big, on our 42 team side is we got to get a car that is, top 5 in speed. So then we can go from that point on. And, I really know what the feel I'm looking for going forward throughout the steering box and the tires and everything. So, we're getting there, and the speed will come. And once we kind of get that, we'll be able to compete and be where we want to. I think our finishes have been where we want them to be. We just want to be running a little bit more in the top 10 to get some more stage points. We're going to need those as the year goes down.
There you have it. That's Ty Dillon visiting with me on Mostly Motorsports. Again, you can listen to that show Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. You can watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter account, YouTube, or you can watch it on our website, racingboys.com, 4 different platforms. But at the end of the show, we pull those down, and if you want to watch the replay of Mostly Motorsports, you go wherever you find your favorite podcast. And we're on all the podcast channels, so wherever you want to go, you'll find it. Just punch in Mostly Motorsports, and you'll find your way to our show. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more sound from Mostly Motorsports. We're going to listen to an interview that I did with one of the bright minds in NHRA racing. Joe Costello joins us next right here on Track Talk.
Track Talk.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia has extended their 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you're looking to buy a new vehicle like the 2022 Kia Telluride, Seltos, or Sportage, buy from Brogdon. If you don't love it, return it, no matter what the mileage, and they'll refund you 100% of the purchase price. But if you do love it, you've got a great vehicle with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Drive with confidence in a new Kia. Shop OlatheKia.com or stop by. Just a short drive from I-35. Customer must register vehicle. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. I played linebacker. I won a state championship. I played Division I ball. I know a thing or two about winning. A winning attitude starts with confidence. My law firm is so confident in what we do that if we take your injury case and we don't win, you don't pay us a dime. So if you've been hurt, call me. My team wants to win for you. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know. 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
This is for the men who never settle. The ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick. The type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera. And the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Nothing makes cheering on your favorite team better than wings. Pair your at-home game day with Twin Peaks Wings. Find your favorite store at twinpeaksrestaurant.com/locations.
As Kansas City weather shifts to rain along with some sun and more rain, I bet you're thinking about your roof. Greg Gurley here for Buck Roofing. If you've been putting off repair or replacement, use the company I recommend, Buck Roofing. For trusted residential and commercial roof repair or replacement, gutters too, in Kansas City and now in my favorite town, Lawrence, Kansas. It's Buck Roofing, online at rbuckroofing.com. Sleep well knowing Buck fixed the roof over your head.
Hey, Ray Magliozzi here. I don't know about you, but my car could use a few upgrades. I mean, the 8-inch tier in the driver's seat does have sentimental value since my butt has molded to fit it, but I'm ready to move on. My solution? eBay Motors. They've got all the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them, from seat covers to whole new seats. When I get that new seat, I think I'll put the old one in the living room, right next to the minivan seats, or as we call it, the sectional. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Are you losing your hair and feel like you don't know what
Actually,
to do?
1 minute from
We are
now.
here to help you. Hi, I'm Dr. Spencer Egan with Essentis Hair Restoration. We can help you get your hair back using state-of-the-art robotic hair transplant technology. At Essentis Hair Restoration, we care about maintaining the hair you have and replacing the hair you've lost. Book your free consultation for a personalized plan and feel like you again. Call 913-914-5975 or visit kansascityhairtransplant.com.
X Golf is now open and is the premier indoor golf and entertainment experience in town. 7 state-of-the-art simulators are designed for golfers of any age and level. Lots of different games to choose from. Battle head-to-head in a match play format on the world's best virtual golfing simulators. X Golf also offers lessons with sophisticated swing analysis. They have a beautiful full-service bar and food options with many packages available. So book a tee time today at xgolfleewood.com, located at Town Center Shopping Center on the north side by Bravo. X Golf Leewood, bringing the world's best golf simulator experience to you.
Welcome back to Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. And again, we're playing some sound from our show that we do Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. You can watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, or on our website, racingboys.com. It's called Mostly Motorsports. We get a little bit off topic once in a while on that show, but for the most part, we talk about motorsports. And, Kirk, we had a chance to talk to one of the great minds in NHRA here recently.
Yeah, big drag racing event last weekend, the Gator Nationals, and Joe Costello was there covering it for the NHRA. He's one of the announcers there and also does podcasts on WFO Radio, and he was a guest on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week. And here is that conversation with Joe Costello.
It's huge, and you think about it, and then you see the reality of it. Mm-hmm. And it's living up to the hype. You'd think, here's a guy for 20 years, has been a racing celebrity from his USAC Triple Crown days to the IndyCar days to the NASCAR days, and he's been in headlines, and he's talked about often as a team owner, and now he decides, I want to come drag racing.
Yeah.
And what will that mean? And honestly, it's been a pleasure to watch, because drag racing is staying drag racing so far. Right. And Tony has been assimilated into the drag racing family in that, I'll give you an example. I haven't seen, and I'm sure it's happening, but fans like screaming at him, come sign my thing. They're letting him be a racer.
Right.
And that's what drag racing is, where everybody in the pit, kind of for the most part, is connected to the racing. Even the fans. They feel like they're part of it. And, yeah, they'll get an autograph. There will be a time where you will eventually get an autograph. You don't have to get a ticket. You don't have to wait in a line. But you got to be cool, because these guys are working.
Right.
And it's just, I think that's why Tony wants to be here, honestly, because he's just another racer out here.
Right.
And it was great to see him go on and score that victory.
Tony really is a good guy. And one thing I want to ask you, Joe, it's very important right now, isn't it? Because some of the elder statesmen, the guys that have owned some of these teams over the years, they're getting up there in the age. And we got to start replenishing some of the owners with some young people. Is that correct?
I think we should have been replenishing the owners with young people 10 years ago.
Right.
Yes. Absolutely, yes. But I understand if you look at the reality of what life has been, we had the Great Recession in 2008. That really kneecapped a lot of people and kind of got people thinking about what was going on, housing market crisis. We had the pandemic. There's all kinds of stuff that have been constantly happening. But what we're seeing now with Justin Ashley, young guy out there making it happen, Josh Hart, young guy out there making it happen as a team owner. Doug Foley has been this part-time guy for a long time. He's not necessarily a young guy, but he's fresh blood, and he's decided he's going to race until he can't anymore, make it happen. We're in a very interesting time for NHRA drag racing, because I think everyone is realizing, bang for the buck, you get the TV network, you're on Fox, you get a schedule that is manageable and not crazy. You're not out every single weekend. You're out 22 races. That's manageable. It's reasonably affordable. It's reasonably manageable. It's a great value. It's got great, passionate, wonderful people as fans. We go to major cities. You get all of these great benefits. It's the place where so many people are saying they want to be right now, regardless of where they are in their age and opinion. So we're in a unique time. It's great. I'm happy it's happening. What's going on at the NHRA?
Hey, Joe, thanks, Scott, for letting me sit in on this conversation. I watched the entire broadcast all weekend long of the Gator Nationals down there. The crowds were tremendous. Weather didn't cooperate all that well. NHRA had a lot to navigate through the weekend, cold on Sunday morning and whatever, but this is one of the better attended events of all of NHRA. What is it about this Gator Nationals that makes this such a premier event?
Geography and the schedule. This is the East Coast opener. the National Hot Rod Association, drag racing, everybody knows, kind of a Southern California innovation. And the hot rod culture, think American Graffiti and all that stuff, it started out west. The Winter Nationals happens in February. Then we go to Arizona, and the West Coast starts. But we've got great weather here in Florida, too. And so the East Coast opener is in Gainesville, Florida in March. So you think about the Northeast, and everywhere that it's cold, they come down. Right. And you think about Florida, the third most populous state, and you've got a lot of retirees and a lot of people like myself coming up from Miami. We got millions of people down here, and it just draws big. And it's not the biggest track on the tour as far as capacity, but whatever the capacity is, it's like second, I think. And it was max capacity this weekend. We had a huge crowd. And most importantly, guys, they were tough. It was raining. It was cold. Yeah. They're schlepping through the mud. People are getting stuck out in the parking lot because there's no parking lot that could have handled the kind of rain that we had. Right. And they toughed it out till the very end. I was proud of them.
All right, there you have it. Joe Costello visiting with me on Mostly Motorsports. Again, you can listen to that show Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. Watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter account, YouTube, or racingboys.com. Then we pull it down at the end of the show, and then you find it wherever you find your favorite podcast.
Tony Stewart had a good day last Sunday, didn't he?
He did.
Chase Briscoe winning the Cup race out at Phoenix, and then Matt Hagan, first win for his newly formed drag racing team. But his wife didn't get qualified. That was probably the downfall of that thing. They only got one qualifying session in, and
she didn't make it.
Smoked the tires and didn't get down the racetrack,
right.
But neither did three-time champion Antron Brown. He didn't make the show either. So that's the way it is. In NHRA, you don't qualify, you're out. There's no provisionals.
Yep.
So
I want to remind people today up at I-35, they've got the Ice Buster going on, and that will be, if you don't want to go up there and freeze, you'll be able to watch that on racindirt.com. Racindirt.com. No G in racing. Where did they get that idea from? No G in racing. Racing Dirt.
Would that be from the Racing Boys?
Maybe. Could be. and then also, Kirk, tonight, OCRS down at Creek County, right?
Creek County Speedway tonight. And
that will also be on
Racing Dirt.
Racing Dirt, yeah.
And they got the Champ Sprint cars in action down there tonight, too, plus some other of the weekly classes at Creek County Speedway. They were supposed to get started last weekend, but snow in the Tulsa area forced the cancellation at Creek County.
Are the Outlaws at Merced again tonight, or where are they at?
Ocean
tonight, right? Yeah, so that'll be on Watsonville. That'll be on Dirt Vision. You can watch that. And
that's another
Selinsgrove. We were just told by Marie. She's up there in PA. She just said that they rained out at Selinsgrove for tonight.
And Lincoln and Port Royal are still in question.
Are they? All right, okay.
So a little bit of rain out there. They did get the racing in at Port City Raceway last night. Big micro show down there. They had 77 outlaw non-wing cars at the Port City Raceway last night. Gavin Bushell.
What time did they get over with last night?
I'm not sure. I didn't see it live.
I'm assuming late. Let's see. The broadcast ran for 6 hours.
6 hours. Well, let me tell you something. As soon as they were done with the ASCS National Tour race in the World of Outlaws at Merced, I had Port City on. I had to shut it down because it was about 12:30 about that time when everything ended last night, right?
I ended up watching the Outlaws race live last night before I went to bed.
I did too, yeah. The ASCS race and the World of Outlaw race were on at the exact same time.
Now, I waited and watched the ASCS race after the World of Outlaws race. That was what I did. So
why wouldn't you have your computer on and a TV on? You know your TV, you can get flow on your TV.
I know it, but I'm sitting there at the computer at my kitchen table there watching the Outlaws race on my computer.
2 minutes.
I didn't want to watch two races at the same time, so I said, you know what? I'll wait and watch the ASCS race after the live World of Outlaws.
So you prioritized and put the Outlaws in front of ASCS.
Well,
after all the years of us making our money through ASCS, you went over the Outlaws.
Here's the reason why.
You're selling your soul to the devil already, Kurt.
Let me tell you the reason why.
All right.
Flo gets their archives up immediately.
Yeah.
Like right now. Dirt Vision, not so much. If I missed the Dirt Vision race live,
Kurt,
I would have had to wait till this morning to watch it because they don't post the archives up right away.
That's not true because they replay the race right after it's over.
Yeah, but it was all
They
live.
replay the race immediately as soon as it's over, don't they, Austin?
Yes, they do.
But when I tuned in to watch, the Outlaws race was right there. It was live, and I decided to hold off and watch the ASCS
That's
race
the one
after.
good thing. It's like Williams Grove last night. When it was over, they replayed the feature from the sprint car feature out at Williams Grove last night. And they do that with the World of Outlaws as well. As soon as the race is over, they replay that race immediately. Yeah. That's the one thing that ASCS doesn't do. And Race on Texas.
You didn't do it.
That's just
No, I didn't. I
thing.
didn't do it. We didn't do it back when we did the show.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just all depends on what
Listen, we didn't do it because we wanted to make sure that we got out of there at a decent time.
1 minute. I love the flexibility of the archives being posted because that way I can go back. If I miss something or watching two races at the same time, I've got the ability.
Yeah.
Flo does a great job with that.
They do, yeah. And Dirt Vision does a great job with their broadcast as well. And we'll just have to take a wait-and-see approach on Race on Texas. Not the best camera work last night.
I would just like to see Dirt Vision post their archives more quickly, like Flo does.
Yeah, for sure. All right, hour number 2 coming up. You can watch it exclusively on our Facebook page, Twitter account, YouTube, or racingboys.com. It's going to be Kirk, me, and Austin. We're going to have a great time. We're going to play some sound from Kerry Davis as well as Brian Hobart.
20.
That's all in hour number 2. And again, it's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. For Blake, for Austin, for Kirk, I'm Scott Traylor. We'll see you hour number 2 right around the corner. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks, Blake.
So spring is just around the corner.
Appreciate you, fellas. Have a good one.
If you've been having issues with your furnace, now's the best time of the year to repair.
Taking care of your car is a responsibility. It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Sure, especially sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know, the funny thing about that is the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott Traylor along with Kirk Elliott and our producer, Austin O'Neill, hanging out here at Racing Boys HQ in our little studio that we have here. Kirk?
Hey, and next weekend is the King of America at Humboldt Speedway.
I know it, yeah.
And,
that'll be on Racing Dirt, won't it?
Yeah, that's one of the big modified events the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, remember 2 years ago, the
Kirk,
pandemic
it's really,
hit?
Listen, let me just stop you right there. It's not one of the biggest modified events of the year. It's just one of many $10,000 to win races and $15,000 to win races over the course of the summer. USMTS has taken their program to another level, and King of America used to be a special race because of the quantity of money that it pays. But the fact is, USMTS and what they've done with their program this year, it's just another race, in my eyes.
But doesn't the event itself carry some kind of prestige about it?
I would
more than just the money, is it not?
No, I would agree with that. I think King of America is definitely one of the more pristine races out there. But when you have so many races that pay $10,000 or $15,000 to win, they all just start rolling up like a snowball. They just start rolling up together, right?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, can you see it like that? I mean, as many races. I don't know how many races that we have that pay $10,000 or $15,000 to win in modifieds. A lot of them, isn't there?
There's going to be a lot of them now, for sure.
Right.
And also they're going to run the Bull Ring, the Battle of the Bull Ring that was supposed to be last weekend and got wiped out due to snowy weather.
Yeah.
That's going to be a part of this King of America show. So.
Yep, for sure. All right, let's bring in the sister of Racing Boys, Lee Spencer. She joins us now on the show. How you doing, Lee?
I'm great. How's it going?
It's going. So let's start off by talking IMSA and NASCAR. What is all this? What are we talking about?
Well, it just basically NASCAR's partnering with Hendrick Motorsports to take a car to. Oh, gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Overseas and
Le Mans.
Le Mans, thank you. That my brain's not on IMSA this morning.
That's okay.
And so that's what that's where they're off to, and so it's just a matter of who they're going to get to put in it. Kyle Larson, he's already offered via Twitter. Jimmy Johnson might be one of the, since he's been running so much IndyCar, might be somebody that they take a look at. When asked about Jeff Gordon, Rick Hendrick said he'd have to go on a diet first, which I thought that was a little calling the kettle black. But other than that, that's about what we know right now.
What is the grand plan of all of this? I know they're only talking about one car, right? And they're going to have to make some modifications for it so it can run 24 hours. But what is the grand plan of this whole scheme? Tell me what you see the future of this.
Just to put NASCAR on an international stage. I mean,
right.
I was a lot more impressed, and I probably shouldn't say that, but I mean, what Ford was able to do on their anniversary at Le Mans to me was a much bigger story. But NASCAR's been trying to increase its international footprint. They've got the NASCAR Euro Series, and so I think that this is just kind of the next step that they're taking.
Okay, Atlanta, we still don't know anything because yesterday got wiped out due to rain. So here we're about ready to see trucks on the racetrack here in a little bit. Practice instead of qualifying today. This is going to be a wild day, isn't it? And tomorrow.
Absolutely. I posted a story. I talked to Kurt Busch a couple days ago and posted a story about it. He was one of the 3 Cup drivers that tested here, along with Ross Chastain and Chris Buescher. And they're expecting maybe to see Daytona-style drafting, but as narrow as the track is, it's going to be problematic. I think, especially going when it funnels into the turns, and so I think it's just a really precarious deal. We when we went to dinner last night, there were some EMT guys or track services kind of guys there at the track, and we basically said, "Hey man, you're gonna have a busy day today." So I really think it's going to be wild and crazy.
I know I'm dwelling on it, right? I just keep talking about it, but I'm a little concerned about the tire issue. Dragging that left rear, blowing out the left rear, getting into the corners of the speeds that are going to be carrying down there. Is there any concern by anybody?
No, I talked to a friend of mine who's a tire specialist. He's been doing tires for 25 years, and he said that I believe they have 13 cents. He doesn't expect them to use them all because the track surface, with it being brand new, he doesn't expect to see tire fall.
Oh, really?
He's pretty much a student of the sport, and he thinks that they're going to have more tires than they need. So, we'll wait and see. I mean, they're going to want to, they'll want to know how it's going to, what wear is going to be. But on the other side.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose Lee?
We might have lost.
Are you there?
Consideration.
Yeah.
What?
Now we got you. You cut out there for a second.
Hey, about this.
Well, I'm in the boonies. Sorry.
That's all right.
About this double line rule, what is NASCAR going to enforce with this? Are they going to prohibit anybody from going down onto the apron? What is the rule on that?
Last I heard, they're going to institute that as well. And I mean, I think that basically they just don't want to have mayhem going on, because it can get crazy. And if you're at Talladega and you have you can go 5 wide in certain places, that's not going to work at Atlanta. And, this has been the one race that I've really looked forward to all year long. And I'm glad it's kind of here. I mean, we're going to go to the media center and, take part in the driver interviews, and then we're going to go upstairs and see just want to see what's going on the racetrack, because I think this is this is a race that you're going to absolutely want to watch what's going on.
I'm a little giddy about it myself. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little juiced up about it because it's the unknown factor, right? Everything that's going on. Hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about open wheel racing before we let you go. Did you watch the World of Outlaws last night? Watch Carson Macedo beat Brad Sweet and Giovanni?
You're going, well, you're not going to laugh, but I was really, really bummed out, and I'll tell you why. My Dirt Vision subscription crapped out yesterday.
Uh-oh.
And I sent a note to Chris Dolick, and he told me basically that his did the same thing. And apparently Dirt Vision purged a lot of subscriptions yesterday, and mine was one of them.
Really?
And I did not get up to, and I did not get it going before the race began, and he told me it was going to take like 5 to 10 minutes, and it wasn't working, and so I went to sleep in disgust.
You know, it's funny that you say that, Lee, because last night when I tried to log on, it said that I wasn't allowed on there, and I was logged in.
I was logged in too, but it wouldn't let me watch it. And
it wouldn't let me watch it either last night.
Wow, and it didn't affect me at all.
But what I ended up doing is I just bought another account last night. That's what I did.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of upset subscribers at Dirt Fishing this morning.
Well,
oh my!
Listen, they were probably purging all the freebies that they had.
Well,
Well, you didn't have a freebie, did you? I paid for mine.
On media, and they take care of me, but I also report on their series and give them as much love as I possibly can, because I have to admit it is probably my favorite series. So
yeah, well, I think that goes for a lot of us.
Not that I want to play favorites or anything, but
no,
just kind of
you didn't watch any of the ASCS race down at Devil's Bowl then either, right?
I did not, and I probably could have. I did watch a little bit of the midgets in Oklahoma. An interesting story that I'm working on. I'm hearing that Scotty's favorite driver is going to be making his NASCAR debut soon. So that's one of the stories I'm working on this weekend.
Who's that?
Scotty Cook. Who's Scotty Cook's favorite midget driver?
Scotty Cook's favorite midget driver?
I don't know.
Buddy Kofoid.
Buddy Kofoid.
Okay.
You think he's gonna get a chance, huh?
I think we're going to see him at Bristol.
Really?
Wow.
And then if he does well at Bristol, does he get a pavement a shot then after that? Do you think?
I don't know, but I think we're going to see him at Bristol, and I think we're going to see him at Knoxville for certain.
Yeah, for sure. Well, why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't you put Buddy Kofoid in something like that? It only makes sense.
Why not? I mean, You're absolutely right. I mean, there's, he is a stock car fan, and he has been waiting for this opportunity, and I think he's going to get it. So
yeah, for sure.
Hey, Lee,
I'm excited, right?
Yeah, me too.
I don't, practice normally doesn't do anything for me, but why is it I'm so excited to watch practice here in just a little while?
Because it's the unknown.
The unknown,
yeah. What's better than that? So, that's kind of what I'm like Scott. I'm kind of giddy because I really think that this is going to be one of these opportunities where we're going to see something that nobody knows what to expect, right? And so I think it's going to be fun and games, right?
It's kind of going to be a freak show a little bit.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm here for the freak show.
Yeah. All right, Lee. What else? What do you got coming up on Racing Boys?
Well, I mean, clearly I'm in Atlanta, so I'll be looking and waiting and watching to see what happens, and have 2 races today. We got trucks and Xfinity, and like I said, I'm going to be working on trying to track down the rest of the story on Buddy Kofoid.
Yeah. Got a lot of great stories up there. If you want to go to racingboys.com, click on the Racing Boys Scoop page. That's Lee Spencer's page. She's got a lot of great stories up there. Lee, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on the show, and we'll talk to you on Monday, okay?
Super. You take care. Talk to you soon.
All right, there you have it. Lee. There you have it. Lee Spencer joining us here on Track Talk. What do you think about all that?
We're sitting here. I have no idea what kind of a Cup race we're going to see, let alone the Xfinity or Truck Series today.
Mm-hmm.
And thought maybe we might get a little bit of an idea, at least who would be fast if they'd had practice yesterday. They were supposed to have all the practice sessions yesterday. But the whole day got wiped out. So we're heading into the next 2 days without any idea, what's going to happen, or just even a look at the racetrack. I still question why they reconfigured the racetrack. I get the repaving start, but I don't understand why they had to put more banking in it and narrow up the corners.
I don't either. They shortened up the corners by 10 feet. Marie says, looking at hourly, Lincoln might have a rain delay. Knowing Lincoln, they will get it in. So that's good
Lincoln
to know. Thank you, Marie. We always appreciate your updates.
That that's the track south of Williams Grove Speedway, Lincoln Speedway? You've been there before, right?
Where?
Lincoln Speedway?
I have not been to Lincoln.
You've been to Williams Grove and Selinsgrove.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a racetrack I'd love to go to in Pennsylvania, Port Royal Speedway.
I'm with you, Kurt.
Me too.
Love that
to
racetrack. I'll tell you, we saw some of the most exciting races the whole season last year at Port Royal Speedway. And whoever preps that racetrack out there, they do a hell of a
that was the biggest problem with us going out there racing with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour is that we went out there and we just run Friday night at Williams Grove, Saturday night at Selinsgrove, and then we'd have to come home.
Yeah.
If we could have got Port Royal, Babs, something like that out there.
Lincoln, Grandview.
Yeah. If we could have got a series of tracks where we could have run 5 or 6 nights out there, I would say that would still be on this schedule. Listen, it's not as far as pulling out to the Pacific Northwest, right? It's 1,000 miles, right? But if you had 5 or 6 races out there, now it makes sense.
You're right.
It didn't make sense to go out there for 2 days.
No, it's just unfortunate that we have to deal with 358s versus 360s,
Well, let me tell you, though, when we went out there to Pennsylvania, I thought when we would show up, I've said this many times, I thought that the 410 snobs would just attack us. 360 guys, right? But it was the exact opposite. Those people out there, all they could say is, we've been waiting for you to get out here for years, and we're glad that you're here.
Well, those are great race fans out there. They really appreciate sprint car
racing. The best sprint car fans in the country.
They're terrific.
Other than, there's 2 places, right? The world capital of sprint car race in Knoxville, Iowa, and PA.
Right. Hey, there's another racetrack out in Pennsylvania I like. It's out by Pittsburgh, Lernerville Speedway, where they have the Silver Cup. That's big half-mile racetrack, too. We saw a World of Outlaw race there, I think the Silver Cup, a couple of years ago. A 3-car battle. I think Kyle Larson and Donnie Schatz and Brad Sweet were involved. That was a hell of a race. So that's another racetrack I'd love to go to sometime.
Yeah. All right. So do we want to go with Kerry next? Is that what we're going to do here, Austin? Right? All right, Kirk, you want to set this one up here? Kerry Davis, you were the MC at the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame ceremonies, and I know you always have a good time doing that. And a guy that should have been in there a long, long, long time ago, probably before some other members made it in. Kerry Davis, one of the lifers and just one of the great modified and late model drivers here as of lately to race in this area in Kansas City.
That's right. Kerry Davis won back-to-back limited late model championships up at the I-35 Speedway. We've seen him at...
What's that mean, though? Nothing.
Well, that means he's still winning championships
Austin.
At over 50 years of age.
I won't drag you in this.
You don't want to get me started.
But what's that mean?
Nothing.
Running limited late model at I-35 Speedway.
There's 9 cars.
But
no knock against Kerry, but there's 9 cars.
9 cars.
Right.
I've raced against 9 cars. It's not a lot of fun.
He's coming back to Lakeside Speedway to run on a regular basis this next year.
That's the good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
back with Mom and Dad coming to Lakeside.
And I remember that championship he won, the National Short Track Championship back in 2002. You were there.
Yeah.
That's the only time you probably ever put on a tuxedo in your life.
It was the same year that Clint Boyer won the championship up at Thunderhill and at Lakeside in the same year.
So you were there.
So I went with Clint that weekend.
And Kerry Davis was honored as the National Short Track Champion, driving for Christina and Richard Smith. They're
that was about the time me and Clint got hooked up with driving my modified.
Right.
So
hard to believe that was 20 years ago.
It's crazy.
But Kerry Davis was a guest on Mostly Motorsports this week and talking about his induction into the Carb Hall of Fame. And here is a portion of that conversation with Kerry Davis.
To be in any kind of Hall of Fame is a great honor, isn't it? Really?
Oh, yeah. You know, they explained everything to me when they called me, how you get voted in by your peers and you know all the people that's already in there, and it just really blew me away. I just never would have expected something like that in a million years. Just a guy and his family, we just started as kids just doing this as fun, and that's still what we continue to do today.
I think when you started your career, was it 1987? Am I correct on that?
Yeah. 87, we run a pure stock down at Riverside.
Yeah. Boy, I miss the old Riverside days, don't you, bud?
Oh, that was a lot of fun back then with old Hoss and everybody. It was quite different what it is today.
Yeah, when you were a kid, did you and your dad, I know he's been such a big part of your career and everything that you've done and all the victories that you've had. Did you and your dad go to the races a lot when you were a kid?
Yeah, he took me, and that's what's funny. My first memory of racing at all was at Riverside and getting inside of Frank Hedges' car after the races one night. Him and Mom had took us to watch the races, and we got to go down in the pits afterwards. They knew Frankie and his parents, and so they was all talking, and they put me inside that car, and I just never will forget the smell and the sights and the sounds and everything you got to see. It was pretty neat.
What was that in the 105 car?
Yeah, that was when he figure-eighted it.
Yeah, I remember that. It was so funny back in the day at Riverside, just so people know, that I even watched Gene Claxton take his late model out there and run the figure-eight one night. It was so crazy that if you you tore your car a little bit that night, you just go run it in the figure-eight after the races were over.
Oh, I know it. And some of them races was some good ones, too.
Yeah. Who was your favorite figure-eight driver?
Oh, Snail.
It had to be, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was hardcore into the figure-eight, and he did a good job with it.
Yeah. He probably lettered your cars a few times along the way, too, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, I remember one of them. He wrote my mom and dad's name on the deck of my car, and he wrote it. Back then he used everything paintbrushes.
Right.
He painted it upside down and backwards.
That's so Snail. Right.
Yeah, and it looked better than you couldn't write it, with a pen and paper and make it any better than what he did, and he did it upside down and backwards. It was neat.
Yeah. Kerry, you've accomplished so much in your career. I know that when we were at the Hall of Fame induction, Kirk went through a lot of the things. But what stands out in your career as the highlight of your career as a driver?
Man, there's just been so many times, and I don't know if it's because I got a picture or what, but we won that 5,000 win Jayhawk race at Lakeside. We was fortunate enough to get that done once, and there's a picture on my wall in my basement, and it's of my dad. My dad's sitting there, and he's got a hold of me, and I got my helmet on, my head leaned back, and my visor's open because I just got out of the car, and I remembered looking at him saying we just won $5,000, and just the look on his face. It's just something I'll never forget. It was just one of them moments, he's proud, he's got two of us, me and my brother. My brother's a policeman, and he's been such a huge part of my racing, him and my mom both, and it was just neat, everything kind of come together that night. We started pretty deep in the field, had to come through a B to even make it, and then we won the race coming out of 4 on the last lap for the checkered. So it was one of them storybook deals, and just, I don't know, that the look on his face is just etched in my memory. I'll never, ever forget it. It's just one of the moments that pretty much a highlight for sure.
Man, there's so many racetracks you've raced at. I know in the last couple of years you've been racing up at I-35 with a late model up there, and you've won a couple championships doing that. But out of all the racetracks, and you've raced at all of them, Riverside, Lakeside, you raced at the old Lakeside, right? The new Lakeside. Did you ever race up at Shawnee? Did you race up there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Raced up there. You know, as far as the racetrack goes, just one that I always enjoyed was Thunder Hill.
Yep.
It was so big and so wide
and
that
fast.
Usually Mother Nature couldn't rain enough on it to make it a muddy hole, you know, because it was so banked it'd run off. But it was always, any night you went up there, if you had a good race car and did a good job, you had an opportunity to go forward. You know, the racetrack was always there for you. So that was probably one of my best ones, you know. And Lakeside, the new one, you know, the last few years I run out there, it was pretty dry, and it made a good racing. But we're going to head back out there again this summer and try that place again.
I was going to ask you, you're giving up on the late model up at I-35 to come back to Lakeside. Why is that?
Well, the thing about the late models up there is you can only run there. You know, there's not any other place to run.
Right.
Nobody else has that style of a late model, and you kind of hate being pinned to just one place. If we want to go somewhere else, we can. So we put together a modified again.
Yeah. Kerry, the expense, I talk about this all the time. I'm sure people get tired of me talking about it, but the expense of an A-mod right now is just astronomical, isn't it?
Oh, man. It's everything, though, Scott. Just think about it. You know, the two of them tires are $150 a piece.
Yeah.
And, you know, an E-mod, a B-mod, an A-mod, a stock car, we all run them.
Right.
And it's crazy, you know, price of fuel, price of everything. I see a lot of people, you know, they're going to cut back on the racing just because it's not because they don't want to do it, it's because you can't afford it.
Right.
And that's kind of like us, you know, Lakeside's close to home too, so that plays a factor in it also.
All right, there's Kerry Davis, one of the latest inductees into the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him for getting in there, as well as mention the other people that got in as well, Kurt.
Now you put me on the spot. I don't have the list up here.
You were the MC of the event.
I know it, but
you
you're
should know
asking
them
me
all right off the top of your head.
Well, Thad Dozier went into the Hall of Fame, and just right off the top of my head, Ken Simon, the great race photographer, Ken Schrader going into the Hall of Fame, John O'Neill Sr. and John O'Neill Jr. Entering the Hall of Fame, Irvin Schick, who we lost this past year as well, and I know I'm leaving somebody out.
Potter?
Jerry Potter. We had him on the show last week.
Right.
So
see there, Kirk, I knew you would pull it out.
Did we get them all in?
I think
TJ Giddings.
Oh, TJ Giddings.
TJ Giddings.
Yeah, there's one we didn't get in.
It was great to see TJ Giddings get into the Hall of Fame. We had him on the show 2 weeks ago. So.
Hey, so somebody, Byron, he says, why are we talking bad about I-35? We weren't talking bad about I-35.
No, we were just talking about low car counts.
We were just saying that there was only 9 late models up there.
That's all.
We weren't talking bad about I-35. We talked about I-35 a lot on this show.
If anything, we were promoting the track this morning with the event they got going on up there tonight.
The Ice Buster. We've been talking about it all morning.
Yeah.
About how it's going to go on up at I-35 Speedway.
We're promoters. We promote the racetrack.
Well, I don't know. Some racetracks maybe more than others. But there was no intent to bag on.
Well, you said, what does that really mean, winning the championship at I-35 Speedway? I guess maybe a lot of people, some people take that as a negative comment.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. When I run my Super Truck back at I-70 Speedway, the first year they ran Super Trucks, we had about 8 or 9 trucks.
Yeah.
I won 10 features that year. Me and Nate won every race that year. Nobody else won a race but me and Nate. Nate Bonnell. I think he won 11, I won 10. And let me tell you, even though I won all those races, it wasn't that much fun beating 8 or 9, 10 trucks. Wasn't that fun. In fact, to this day, I have total regret of getting rid of my modified for that Super Truck. You know, I told Brad McDonald if he started a Super Truck class that I would build a Super Truck. And after I did it, I was so disappointed I sold my modified because I was just starting to win in a modified, right? At I-70 and running up front. And to me personally, that was not a good move, getting rid of my modified to run that Super Truck. to race against 8 or 9. But because the thing about it is that I was in the modified division. I was contending with guys like Randy Ainsworth, Ron Hartford, all the really good, talented modified drivers. I was starting to outrun those guys from time to time. And I give it all up for that super truck, and I wish I would have never done it. In fact, I sold that modified. It went down to San Antonio, Texas, and won a championship down there after I sold it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point you were making is just
the
means
amount,
more
amount of cars.
It means more to win a championship with a class
a
with
full
more
field.
cars. That's all.
A full field of cars. That's what I meant.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's all that was about. So Kerry Davis is one of the most fan-friendly drivers that we've ever seen around the Kansas City area.
Yep.
He's got a lot of race fans. Always a fun guy, and he's pretty popular wherever he races. So I think a lot of the Lakeside Speedway fans will be very happy to see Kerry Davis return to Lakeside on a regular basis this year.
Yeah. Oh, John Wilson chiming in. He was my crew chief back in the day. We won both at I-70 and Moberly.
Yeah.
Remember, I told you we won that race at Moberly down there, the inaugural modified race on pavement. That was a pretty big win for us back in those days. John and I were pretty happy that day. Kyle was with us. Remember, John? Kyle was with us. It was you, Kyle, and me, and we pulled all the way down to Moberly and won that first race, pavement race. It was a lot of fun. Kirk, you want to set up this last interview that we have with Brian Hobart?
Brian Holbert is the voice of the ASCS, and I think you were part of the reason why Brian got his gig over there at the ASCS. Great announcer, and we heard his voice last night down at Devil's Bowl Speedway.
I'm going to leave. I'm going to pose this question, and then we're going to answer it at the end of this segment. Who's the better announcer, Johnny Gibson or Brian Hobart? All right, you hold that thought, or you can say here on the chat room, who do you think is the best, Hall of Famer Johnny Gibson or future Hall of Famer Brian Hobart?
And that's a good question to ask because the way I watched the races last night.
Don't answer the question right now.
No. I'm going to answer it later, but it's a good question to ask because I'm able to compare because I heard Johnny Gibson one race, and then right after that, Brian Holbert.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
We can talk about that. But Brian Holbert does a lot of things for the ASCS and the Chili Bowl.
He's a multitasker.
Multitasker, great guy. And here is part of that conversation with the voice of the ASCS, Brian Holbert, on Mostly Motorsports from earlier this week.
Brad Schutte is taking over the ASCS Warrior region as the director. But I want to give a big shout out to Larry Hall, who has been a long time representative for ASCS. It looks like he's moving on, huh?
It's just to the point where, nothing bad, nothing nefarious. He just, he wants to spend more time with Margot. He wants to spend more time with the grandkids. And, it's just, he's at that point of life where that is his priority. And by all means, and even Terry said it when I was doing the press release yesterday, that your family has to come first. I mean, that is the right priority. So, Larry moving on to, call it retirement, but at the same time, when he was talking to Brad, he said, make sure my name's on the list because I might show up.
Right.
Because like Brad even said, he's kind of well-versed in everything but scoring, and that's where Larry was phenomenal.
The best.
As a director, but also as a scorer. And what some people may not realize with Larry Hall, he was chief of timing and scoring for the World of Outlaws way before transponders.
Right.
He traveled all over the country and did that. And, of course, his son Braden traveled with him. Him and Casey Schumann are really good friends because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, now with, when Eloy came in and it all, kind of turned to transponders and everything, Larry would still do it. But as far as somebody that will hand score a race, you won't see anybody better.
We're seeing a lot of people showing interest in running full-time with the National Tour. Jason Martin we had on here just recently. Talk about some of the drivers that are going to be running with the National Tour in 2022.
Originally we had about 14 drivers that were coming out. Two of them had change of plans. Preston Perlmutter was going to come out out of San Antonio for his rookie season. Going to be more of a part-time schedule this year. He's not going to run the full thing. And then, of course, we had just put the press release out about Scott Boguski, and he was going to be back in his number 84 and was really excited, looking forward to it. And about 24 hours roughly later, he gets a phone call for a ride that he's not having to foot the bill. So, I mean, kudos to him. I mean, and that's one of those, whenever he called me and told me what was going on, I said, if you turn it down, you're a fool. You know, you can go from wondering how you're going to pay for your own equipment to running on somebody else's hip pocket. I mean, yeah, that's the logical choice. So we still have a dozen drivers that are still wanting to run, and it's a dozen good drivers.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the rookie field, and there's a lot of them. I go, can we really call some of these guys rookies? Like Jason Martin, he's got 3 national wins, but he's never actually run the full tour. So he is technically a rookie this year.
Yeah.
Landon Britt had 2 USCS wins last year. It was his rookie season with them last year, according to the records on their website. Finished top 10 in points. He's another one. When we go around in the Mid-South, he's a showmaker. He's not an also-ran. He's definitely got the talent to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen what Chase Porter's done in the last couple of years, coming out of the micros and going into sprint cars. He's really starting to get his legs underneath him. Kyler Johnson, you know, when your dad is a multi-time NCRA champion and your grandfather raced all over Kansas and hell and back, he's got plenty of pedigree to him to get the job done. I think he's going to be fun to watch. And you look at the guys that are coming back on this deal. You look at Matt Covington, Blake Hahn, Dylan Westbrook, you know, Garrett Williamson coming back out, Seth Bergman, Ryan Bickett. You know, and a couple of the rookies I kind of just realized I glossed over here. Dylan Postier, OCRS pedigree, ran most of the national tour second half last year, really started picking up some speed. And we saw Brandon Anderson come out and nearly won at 81 Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, was in contention there. So we've got a dozen core guys right now that are wanting to run this thing. You know, plus you've probably got another half a dozen that are going to run anywhere from 50 to 70% of the schedule. Correct. And now that they've had a season to kind of work on things and get everything in order, really looking forward to going there. You know, back to Waukene for a 2-day show. Rocket Raceway Park, formerly 82, over in Petty, Texas. It's just outside of Paris. You know, that one, the Kevins have taken that over. Unfortunately, we did see the news that, you know, Dirt on the Rev is going to be no more. So we're trying to find something to replace that date right now, which is just heartbreaking because that was one that everybody was really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Of course, going back to Batesville, kind of looking down the schedule here, back to Salina High Banks. It's been a few years since we've been there. Of course, Lakeside, going back there right before we go into Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
Dodge City, we have not been there since 2012. Craig Delansky, you know, taking over at that facility. It's going to be a lot of fun going back there for a 2-day show.
Right.
3 nights at Lake Ozark over the Labor Day weekend, back to Lakeside. Going back to Clay County, had a great show there last year between, you know, Blake and Covington racing for the win down to the final lap. Chatham, Louisiana, after Lucas Oil Speedway. You remember Chatham.
Oh, boy.
Back when it was Jones Motor Speedway, you know, they've done a ton of work at that track. It's really become a beautiful facility. It's called Super B Speedway now. Going down there on the 24th of September, of course, that leads into the Comp Cam Short Track Nationals. Devil's Bowl, the Fall Fling at Creek County Speedway ending out the season. That's back with the national tour. It's kind of gone back and forth between national and Sooner. But you're looking at a, you know, solid 55 to 60 race schedule this year. Dozen guys committing full time, another half dozen, if not more, that are doing, like I said, 50, 60, maybe 70% of the schedule. It's going to be really interesting to see the names that kind of come in and out as we work through the Midwest. And with the new format and everything in place, you know, really looking forward to this year. There's a lot of buzz about it. I know a lot of people are happy with the changes that Terry's made so far, especially with the format. You know, bringing the group qualifying in and implementing that to work with the passing point system. So the draw, and we've seen this a lot, where a guy will draw a high number and ends up on the back row of Heat 1 at a place like Devil's Bowl, where the track is notoriously narrow at the beginning of the night.
There you have it. That's Brian Hobart, the voice of the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. He's not only the voice, he's the publicist. He does so many different things down there. He's really a jack of all trades. So, Kirk.
Okay.
Let's talk about. There's really the top 2 sprint car announcers in the business are Johnny Gibson and Brian Holbert, right? Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I like Blake Anderson, what he does. I think he does a really good job.
I think Blake does a good job, too.
Yeah. But we're comparing Johnny Gibson with Brian Holbert, right?
Yeah.
All right. Here, Johnny Gibson is a full-time announcer, meaning that he's not having to write press releases and do other things at the same time that Brian Holbert is doing it. I mean, Johnny can pretty much focus in on the task at hand and call the race. Johnny does a great job calling the race. Here's my issue with Johnny Gibson. I think he's a little bit too machine-like, too robotic. If you listen to every race on the World of Outlaws series, he does everything the same. Nothing varies with Johnny Gibson. He'll do the 4-wide call the same, no matter what.
Right.
The whole night is by a plan, and he sticks to it.
Hold on. Let me say this. So he uses the same cliches.
Well, yeah, but it's not just that. He just goes about his business the same way every night. Johnny Gibson is like a machine. He's and sometimes robotic. The issue that I have with Johnny Gibson, and by the way, he calls a great race.
He does.
He doesn't miss a thing. Sometimes he gins up his voice here a little. The voice kind of comes off a little bit contrived a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, Brian Holbert is more natural. He's a God-gifted voice. Brian Holbert could voice commercials with the best of them.
Oh, he could, for sure.
I mean, he's got this natural voice, and he doesn't have to fake it. And he's just good. But the problem I have with Brian Holbert is that he's doing the press releases and doing a lot of things at once. You hear a lot of more dead air. You hear a lot more dead air when Brian, and that's because he's doing other things at the same time. If Brian Holbert was just the announcer and did nothing else, I think he would be a lot better. And a lot of those gaps that you hear during the evening would be filled with content. And Brian, I don't think calls a race as well as Johnny Gibson as far as the content, the nuts and bolts of the calling the race. But his voice is a lot better than Johnny Gibson, in my opinion.
Kirk Elliott would know as well as anybody when it comes to announcing.
But I like
races.
them both. I like them both.
No, I know that. I'm not saying you don't. What year did you start announcing races? 1971?
1971. 15 years
Ringo
old.
County.
Ringo County Speedway.
Right.
Quarter-mile racetrack.
I know that. I know that story well. And you were the track announcer at Adams County Speedway for 17 years, right?
1984 through 2000. 1984 through 2000. I was at the Adams County Speedway. Before that, I was at the old Stewart Speedway up in Iowa for 7 years.
Oh, and by the way, I don't know if people know this about Kirk Elliott, but he was one of the announcers at Knoxville Raceway in 1975 and 1976. Am I right?
Yeah, more in 76. I started there in 75. Dave Van Patten was responsible for
getting you that job.
And got a lot of help from Hank and Phyllis Smith. They kind of,
brought
put
you
in
into
for me
the
up
loop.
there.
Yeah.
But
Cappy wasn't a big fan of yours, though.
Well, Cappy was not yet the promoter when I was.
But when
working up
Cappy
there.
came in, you lost your job, didn't he?
Yeah, and I don't blame Cappy for it at all because I got replaced by a legend, Jack Miller. He wanted Jack Miller. You know what? If I was
the
Cappy,
best of all time.
If I was Cappy, I would have wanted Jack Miller too.
Yeah.
So
But Jack didn't stay there long, though, did he?
No, because he hated the Iowa winters. He wanted to get back to Florida. I think he worked up there a couple of years, went back to Florida, and then they brought in Tim Trier, and then after that, Tony Bachhoven came on board. But I had the great pleasure of working a couple of seasons at Knoxville. The one big season was 1976, and worked the Nationals with Chris Economaki. How cool was that? I was 20 years old. And I'm up there, and Chris I was nervous as hell because Chris Economaki was on the PA during the Nationals, and he was teaching me a lot. He said, "Son, you got to explain to people what's going on here."
He give you some nuggets of information.
Give me some real good pointers.
Yeah,
some really good pointers. And Chris Economaki on a PA was unbelievable.
We had Chris
He was
Conamacchi on the show
mesmerizing.
before, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great guy he was.
You know, I remember when we had him on that show, we were doing a remote at McCarthy on Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? Do you remember when we had him on? You don't remember that, do
I
you?
don't remember.
I for some reason, I just remember having him on that day. And he told us the story about him interviewing.
I knew he had him on, but I don't remember that. specific
Remember
answer.
the story he said about A.J. Foyt? Remember that? Do you remember that story he told us?
I don't remember. Tell me what was.
It was the first time that Chris Conamacchi had done a live interview on television with a race car driver. And he was interviewing A.J. Foyt. A.J. Foyt, he noticed that A.J. was walking the track early in the morning, walking around the racetrack. And he asked A.J., he goes, A.J., I noticed that you were out walking around the track in the morning, taking a look at the racetrack. Were you getting prepared for tonight's race? I'm going to cuss here, so just so you know. A.J. Foyt looked at him and said, no, I was just trying to work up a shit.
I don't remember that story.
That's what he said.
Oh, my God.
A.J. was just walking around trying to work up one. You don't remember that story?
I don't remember that one. That is funny.
Yeah.
Chris Economaki gave great advice to pit reporters. Said, don't make statements, ask questions. Be curious.
Kirk.
If you're going to interview somebody in Victory Circle, ask them questions. Be curious.
I tell people all the time that get in this business. I tried to tell Scotty Cook this for 12 years.
Yeah.
He never figured it out, really. I always try to tell people, if you're going to be in talk radio, the most important thing that you can do as a talk show host is listen to your subject. Don't go into an interview thinking that, all right, I've got 4 or 5 questions I'm going to ask, and I'm going to put them on this piece of paper, and those are the questions I'm going to ask. Start off with a question, then listen to the subject and their response to your question,
because that may
and find a question inside their response.
Right.
Because then it turns into a conversation.
Because the way the interview goes is dependent upon what the guest is saying.
Don't put 5 or 6 bullets in your gun and just pull the trigger.
And don't try to prove to your interview guest that you know more than they do.
Don't do that. And the best way to ask a question, Kirk, tell me if I'm wrong here. The best question is the shortest question.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because they want to hear the person you're interviewing
right.
talk
Not you.
more, not you talk.
Not you.
Yeah.
Don't make like Chris Conamacchi said, don't make a statement and then basically give the answer that your subject should give you.
Right.
Right?
The one thing that just drove him crazy, and he'd write about it in his column every week in National Speed Sport News. You're going up there making a statement about something and then expecting your guest to answer what you said.
Right.
That's not a good interview.
Right.
Ask a specific question to elicit a specific answer.
The best question is the shortest question.
Yeah. Or the best way, I should say, ask a specific question, keep it short in order to elicit as good an answer as you can get.
Now, once in a while, when you have a guest on, right, like what we do on Mostly Motorsports, once in a while, it turns into a conversation.
Right.
So sometimes your questions aren't short.
Right.
Because it's more of a conversation than it is an interview.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what you want it to turn into. Talk radio is about having a conversation with people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's, but Chris Economaki, and I bring him up because he was a big influence on me because I had the opportunity to work at Knoxville back in the 70s, and Chris Economaki was there.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to know the guy. And I learned so much from him.
What was the one thing that you learned from Chris Conamacchi that maybe stuck with you, maybe more than anything?
Just like we were talking about. Just
keep it simple.
Be curious. He was a reporter. Chris Economaki was a reporter first and foremost.
Yeah.
Never looked at himself as any kind of a celebrity.
Yeah.
He was just a member of the media doing his job, reporting on what he was doing. He said, you got to be curious. You got to ask questions that any fan would want to ask.
Right.
Because that's who you're serving. You're serving the race fans.
Right, exactly.
So that was the great advice that he gave me. And don't think that you're the main guy out there. The race car drivers are the stars of the show. Don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the star.
You're not
why people are coming to the racetrack. You're not the reason people are coming to the racetrack.
You're the messenger.
You're the messenger.
Right.
Don't forget that.
Right. Too many people want to be the show.
Right.
They want to get all excited and try to be. It's too contrived. Too many announcers. It's too contrived.
Too contrived.
Isn't it?
Yes.
They try too hard sometimes.
You know, I like Johnny Gibson. Johnny Gibson is a legendary announcer. He's been with the World of Outlaws for
20-some
all
years.
these many years.
Yeah.
And he does call a great race. You're not going to miss
absolutely calls
anything
a
that
great
goes on
race.
in the racetrack. He's not going to miss it. My problem with Johnny Gibson is just loosen up a little bit. Just kind of be different. Just.
But Kirk, let me say this in defense of Johnny. Right. Johnny has been doing it for so many years. How can you come up with new lines all the time?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's listen.
And I don't think he
Johnny
delivers.
Gibson. Listen, Johnny Gibson has over 25 years of service with the World of Outlaws.
Right.
How can you come up with new stuff all the time? Austin, you want to chime in here?
I'm not an announcer by no means, but you couldn't do it for 25 years with something new every year.
Right.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
And he doesn't come up with a lot of cliches. I don't think he says the same things all the time. All I'm saying is he just goes about his business the same way.
I think what you're trying to say, Kirk,
the operation of the races, it's the same.
I think what you're trying to say, it's mechanical.
Right. That's a good term to use.
Right.
Because I don't think he delivers a lot of cliches or anything like that. The king of that is Chet, the guy that does the USAC. He's the king of the sayings.
Yeah, he uses all the cliches.
And now he's back with the USAC.
What's Chet's favorite one?
I think it's drop the hammer.
Drop the hammer.
That's it. Slip the grip and all this kind of stuff. That kind of drives me nuts a little bit.
Now, if you add in a couple of them every once in a while,
that's okay.
Then it's okay.
Yeah, but if you use them all the time.
Here's why I like...
You know who was the king of that around here, Kirk Elliott?
Who?
Tom Wilson.
Yeah, he was.
He was.
Yeah, he was. He was great at that. He had a great voice, too.
Oh,
Tom
man.
Wilson had a great voice.
He had the best pipes of anybody.
But the reason I like Blake Anderson is his enthusiasm. And it really shows through. When he calls a race, you can tell he's really a fan.
He's passionate.
He's really a fan, and he's not faking it.
Yeah. No, I agree
That's
with
why
you.
I like Blake Anderson.
I would say that the top three sprint car announcers in the business obviously would be Johnny Gibson, Brian Hobart, and Blake Anderson. Put them whatever order you want to put them in.
And Bruce Ellis out there at Williams Grove Speedway.
Oh, man.
I like him.
He's really good. You know, he doesn't overdo it.
No, he's just who he is.
He's just, he's kind of laid back.
He doesn't have a great voice at all. Not a great voice.
But he has a great call.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a great job out there.
He everybody respects him.
Yeah.
Because he's been around it a long time.
Austin, who's your favorite announcer?
I'll kind of throw some points in that Kirk said. You know, Johnny does kind of try. Not I want to say try, but he's like mechanical. But you know, he's done it for so long and he's perfected it.
Right.
And that's what I like about it. You know
what you're going to get.
You know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
You've heard it for so long, and like you said, he doesn't miss anything. So that's my number one. I'll say Brian Hobart's number two, just because of it's just Brian. You know, you talk to Brian, and he announces the same way. So that's what I like. And then,
but I'm with Kirk. I think the problem with Brian is that he takes too much time off when he's trying to do the press releases.
If he were just the announcer.
And that's all he had to think
and
about.
That's all he had to do.
I agree.
I think he'd take it to the next level.
Yeah.
But he's doing so many things that there's
but
a
even
lot
still,
of
I mean, with what he's doing and trying to juggle announcing, he's doing a pretty good job at it.
Oh,
So-
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's exceptional at what he does as a multitasker. He does a really
There's
good
not
job
a better
at that.
voice that calls a race than Brian Holbert.
And Brian has slowed down quite a bit from when he first started. Because remember, when we first started, people thought he was an auctioneer. He's
talk too fast.
Because we were doing audio back then, and he would so fast.
But he's
man.
really
He's come
perfected
into his
that.
own.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I'll tell you, on the late model side, James Essex is awesome.
He is.
I
He's
love
good.
the work that he does for the Lucas.
I think he really
late model
relates to
series.
the blue collar racer.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he shows his passion too. You
Right.
can tell he really loves this stuff.
I've tried to
and
get
it
him on
shows
the
through.
show, and we still
Yeah.
haven't been able to land him
Right.
yet. So
And Rick Eshelman, who does the World of Outlaw late models, I like him too.
yeah.
So there's a lot of great announcers out there, and and you see it more now with all this video out here.
Mm-hmm.
The announcers, the track announcers, and the series announcers are getting more exposure than ever before because of all this live video.
I'm a pretty big fan of Rob Klepper as well.
Oh, I love Rob Klepper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does a good job.
Outstanding job. What in the world? I thought he did a great job for USAC here a couple of years ago, and
Yep.
then boom, he's gone.
Well, he's with the Extreme Series now, right?
They picked a good
Yeah.
one.
They did.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
Terrific
and he's
job.
still working over there at MAV TV too.
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
yeah, he's pretty good. I like his laid back style.
Yeah.
Of Rob Klepper.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as far as, we've heard Tony Bachhoven up here at Knoxville. I like his work.
Listen, Tony is as good as they get as well.
Love his
we,
work.
We cannot forget about the pleasant tone of Tony Bachhoven. He's got to be one. He's got to be one of the top 3 or 4 in the business.
And he calls a great race.
I would put Tony 3 on my list. That's who I had on number 3 was Tony.
You'd put him ahead of Blake Anderson, or would you put him ahead of Brian? Who? What order? Tell me your order.
Johnny Gibson,
Yeah.
Brian Holbert, and then
Tony Bachhoven.
it's tough between Tony and Blake Anderson.
That's a toss-up.
It is. It's tough. They're both really good.
They're really
I
good.
would say I would rate Tony just ahead of Blake. I'd rate him ahead of Blake.
Yep. John Wilson, my old buddy, he says, just as a local guy, my favorite was Bob Libby.
Yeah,
Bob Libby wasn't my favorite.
God rest his soul. Bob Libby was a little bit too mechanical. He ginned up his voice here a little bit too much too.
Yeah, it was a little contrived. Yeah,
But
for me.
I got to be honest.
No, that's what we're doing right here, right? Right.
But there's the track announcer. The announcer is very important to relay what's going on to the race fan. So you got to have good announcers.
Well, we're going to see what we got out at Lakeside this year, I guess.
One more guy.
Yeah.
One more guy.
Who?
Billy Rock. I love Billy Rock.
Billy Rock is really
I've known
good.
him from way back and worked up there at Adams County Speedway. What he's doing for the MLRA series, I love his work.
Is he's their tour announcer now, isn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah. We
Yeah,
need to
good
get
job.
Billy Rock on.
Yes.
Mostly motorsports.
Yep. And the MLRA be kicking off here pretty soon.
When is their first race?
I'd have to look at the schedule here. Not
All right.
sure. So.
Well, we'll take a look at that. But we want to thank everybody for tuning in on the show today. Had a nice Jim Welch, Kirk.
Yes, sir.
Jim Welch was pretty damn good.
I got no Jim Welch
Vicky
pretty
Watland,
well.
she just chimed that in.
Yeah, I got to know Jim Welch pretty well. I come in and filled in for Jim Welch when I was still living in Iowa. Come down to the old Lakeside Speedway.
How
And
about
whenever
Jerry
Jim
Van
had to be
Sickle?
gone, I'd fill in for him.
You know Jerry Van Sickle?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
Jim Welch had a great voice.
Oh, he was good.
Great voice.
Yeah.
And he was in radio. He worked worked Kansas City radio.
You did Lakeside for what year?
The old Lakeside Speedway, I used to come down and fill in on occasion when Jim Welch couldn't be there. But the new Lakeside Speedway there from 90 through when the flood hit, 93.
93.
Yeah.
You did it for 3 years.
Yeah.
Huh?
So
You called a couple of my racers probably out there.
Yeah, I'd
then.
work Lakeside on Friday night and then Corning on Saturday night. Pavement on one night, dirt the next.
And you lived here in Kansas City.
Yep.
Yeah. How about that?
So, yep, those were fun.
Let me
I don't
tell
know
you-
what. I don't know why I didn't come back after when the flood happened. The track shut down for the
Right.
rest of the season. Then I don't know whether it was me that decided to not do it anymore.
I think that's about time they hired Bob Libby, wasn't
I think they moved me out, which was fine.
Isn't that when they hired Bob Libby?
I don't remember.
It's about that time, I think. Yeah.
94.
Let me tell you something about Kirk Elliott. Kirk Elliott was a fantastic track announcer, folks.
Well.
No. Just let me say it. Listen, Kirk was as good as they got. He serviced the sponsors of the cars. He took care of the crowd. He didn't overdo it. His stuff wasn't contrived. He was a seasoned professional at what he did as a track announcer.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
It's been 22 years
since
I've done any kind of PA announcing.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't, because we did the shootout that one year.
Yeah, well, that was I consider that more on the internet side than I wasn't on the PA.
No.
At the shootout.
But you just did it for about 10,000 people on our audio broadcast.
I'm talking about over the PA to the crowd. It's been 22 years since I've done any of that kind of work. And guess what? I did it for 30 years. But yet it's been 22 years since I've done it.
That's crazy.
How crazy is that? That means I'm an old man right now.
Well, hey, when you got forced into doing that down at the Tulsa shootout, that was totally
unexpected. Because Brian Holbert and who was
Mike.
the name? Mike Sweeten?
Mike Sweeten. Brian Holbert did a great job. We were going to lean on the PA and just do the PA.
Lean on the PA.
We were just going to listen to the PA for the entire weekend, right? So Brian does his thing. He yodels and calls the first race.
Did a great job.
Hands it over to Mike Sweeten. Mike Sweeten says, "And there's a green."
And nothing. Just lays down the mic.
Puts down the mic.
So,
and I look at Kirk, and I'm thinking, what are we going to do? Kirk picked up the microphone, and he called every other race that weekend.
We had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I helped you a little bit.
yeah.
For
the Tulsa shootout. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
More races than anything in the whole world.
Yeah. So
not near as bad as it is now.
So we leaned on Brian Holbert on the PA, and then they alternated.
Then me and you would call the races.
So we did it, though.
But you would do the lineups and call the race, and I would just kind of be an analyst. That's all I did. Yeah.
You know what?
You miss doing all that?
No, I don't. I'll tell you what. After that, I could go to the Chili Bowl and not have to worry about any of that. I could just hang out.
You were more relaxed at the Chili Bowl than you'd ever been this year, weren't you?
Oh, it was great this year.
Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah. I walked the pits more this year than I have in 16 years.
Yeah.
You know, before we started doing the live broadcast, back in the early 2000s, you know, what was that? 05, 06 is when we started doing that.
Yeah.
It kind of took me back to those days, the early days, where we just hang out and have fun at the Chili Bowl.
When was our first live broadcast that we did on 810? Was that 2000?
2001. I think. Or was it 2000?
2000.
2000.
It was the first year that 810 went on the air.
Can you believe that? 810 allowed us to do these live races from Sedalia and
I think we
I-70.
did 7 or 9 races that year.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Did a few at I-70, a few at Lakeside.
On a 50,000-watt blowtorch radio
We went to
station.
Heartland Park, Topeka, too, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did one up there.
Yeah, we did.
Remember that night up there, Kirk? They didn't turn the power down at 810. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
And for whatever reason, we're doing this live broadcast up at Heartland Park, Topeka. Kirk and I are doing it. And this is in 2000. And for some reason, our radio station, it's a 50,000-watt station.
It's not a clear channel 50,000-watt station, which means there are a lot of those.
They power down to 10,000 watts at night.
They're supposed to power down to 10,000 watts
But that particular night, for whatever reason, whoever the board op was there didn't power down the station, and our race was getting spread out all over the country like crazy, wasn't it, Kurt?
It was great. Yeah, it was awesome.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Can you believe they let us do that on 810 back then?
And remember, we had that grudge race with Jeff Clem and John O'Neill Jr. Remember that?
I-70 Speedway.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mom was still alive back then, and she was listening to those broadcasts back then.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's hard to believe that was 22 years ago.
That's unbelievable. And that was back when 810, it was a fledgling sports radio station that didn't really grow into what it is today. And
it was long before they had soccer and everything else on the
there
station.
is no chance that we'd ever be allowed
to do a race on there now.
race like that today on 810.
Never say never. Might go to Chad and ask him if we can do a race this year. Maybe we can find a slow Saturday night and do a race somewhere.
Wow.
You want to try to do that?
You think he would really allow that to happen? I doubt it.
I don't know.
They got too many other things going on.
Well, I
now.
think if he had a Sports Radio 810 car out there, you'd be all right with it.
Well, listen, I drove the 810 truck out there for years.
You know what? If somebody was able to shell over some money to do that, I'm sure he would take a hard listen. It'd probably cost somebody some money. Don't you think?
You called my nephew crashing at Heartland Park, Topeka, John said. Jason, right? Yeah. So, all right. Well, listen, we'll have to work on that, Kirk. See if we can make that happen.
Hey, money talks. Somebody's got to come up with some money.
Somebody out there wants to throw a little money towards the radio station.
I don't know how much. I don't know how much, but, money might do it.
It would either have to be 3 tracks. It'd have to be Lakeside, I-70, or US 36.
Right.
Those are the only 3 tracks I'd do that for.
Yeah, I would go with that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, who knows? You never say never.
Could happen.
Now that we're out of the live video business, we got time to do that kind of stuff, right?
Right. Well, you never know. We'll just kind of reel it back in.
Back to the basics.
Yeah.
That would what it would be.
That's kind of what we're doing now, isn't it?
Right.
We're doing you know what we're doing now, Kirk? We're doing what we love to do. That's talk radio.
How did we pull off that live video for all those years? How did we do that?
I don't know.
None of us
But
knew.
I'm sure glad I'm not doing it now.
we didn't know what we were
last
doing.
night I thought I was going to get a little remorse, And after I watched that broadcast down there at Devil's Bowl, as much as I missed the people and missed not being down there and seeing all my friends, I sure didn't miss the setup, the teardown, and all the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, man, you worked your butt off doing that all those
I don't think people really understand how much work is involved in doing all that.
Oh, you'd lug those big cases up the steps up there.
Oh, man.
Some of those tall press boxes and lug all that stuff up there and back down and tear it all down at the end of the night and then drive on to the next one. I mean, you're not complaining. I mean, look what the racers do. I mean, the racers do a lot of work.
Well, listen, and there's still a possibility that I might be doing some broadcasting this year because I have a couple racetracks interested in me coming over and doing some work for them. So I might do a little bit.
You know what you worked hard at, though, was when you were in the merchandise business.
Oh, boy.
When we did that, which, by the way, that was pretty successful for us.
Yeah.
But it's a hell of a lot of work.
It was too hard on my back.
Well, you had a surgery on your shoulder to show for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was I don't think a lot of people realize the work that it takes to sell merchandise at the racetrack. I mean, Austin is involved. Austin has to sell merch. That's a lot of work to organize all that.
Sell merchandise and do a broadcast.
Yeah, and do that. But selling the merchandise can be a full-time deal for somebody.
But the setup and the teardown and moving all the totes for the T-shirts, it was just too much.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a lot of work. And, you think about all these, like in the Outlaws Tour and even the ASCS Tour with those merchandise trailers and, the work that it goes in and all of the behind-the-scenes stuff to make that all happen.
Yeah.
Even Austin, I mean, tell me yourself, you sell merchandise out there. It's a lot of work to put all that together.
Oh, you're right. I mean, you got to keep track of it all, and you got to sell it and promote it. I mean, I'm glad my mom takes care of it because I couldn't fit it in my schedule.
Now, hold on. You said you were going to sell some Racing Boys shirts out there this year. Did you get that cleared with your mom?
Oh, yeah.
She said okay?
When the phone rang and the first words came out of my mouth, she said yes. So.
All right.
Yeah. But God bless her for
we got to have somebody to sell Racing Boys shirts.
Your mom's a good woman.
Yeah.
You're lucky you got her.
For sure.
She's a good one. All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in on Track Talk this morning. It's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We also want to thank our guests that were on Mostly Motorsports this week that we played this morning, Gio Scelzi, Ty Dillon, Joe Costello, Kerry Davis, Brian Hobart. And we also want to thank Lee Spencer for joining us on the show as well. We're going to do it all over again, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. You can watch it right here where you're watching Track Talk. We're going to have all kinds of guests. We've been talking about it. I don't know, maybe Austin and I have thought about making Mondays and Fridays our talk day and then having our guest on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What do you think about that, Austin?
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Mondays suck, so why not have a Monday a fun day?
Well, there's plenty of interviews that we can run and things we can talk about.
Well,
right?
Monday you got a lot of racing to talk about.
That,
right.
and, you got Cup on Sunday.
Idea.
We'll look at flow racing. I bet you have 10 to 15 events on flow racing. You got 5 to 8 on Dirt Vision. I mean,
yeah,
we could fail an hour just like that.
Just playing interviews. We could do that, yeah. So
it's easier to book your interviews for the middle part of the week than it is on Monday.
And maybe we get Wayne Johnson on Monday or something.
Yeah,
Talk
we'll
about
figure it
his
out.
win or something.
He's a great guest all the time.
For sure. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Again, it's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works for Austin, for Kirk. I'm Scott Traylor. We'll see you Monday, 12 noon Central Time on Mostly Motorsports. We hope that you'll join us there. And again, thanks for tuning in to Track Talk today here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network.